On June the 6th, I managed to get a present. I haven't read an article as funny as this one in a long while. It is titled A Guide to the Insider's Language of YouTube Gamers. And when you see that the first word they try to explain is paid DLC, you know you're in for a treat. Now, this is the publication CNET, which is the one who managed to get some advertisers pull away from the quartering because the quartering is evil. So you need to stop watching YouTubers that talk about video games and instead read more articles like this. Give them more clicks, because this is going to be really fun and entertaining for the years to come. And we get to see this picture of this innocent little girl, this innocent little lady that just wants to play video games. She just wants to play video. But from the television, because she hasn't paid her BBC license, we see this red monstrosity coming out. This red monstrosity reaching for her. But what is the monstrosity? For her mind. The battle is for her mind. And then the dog is very upset. The dog is barking. It's like, go away, monster, go away. I do think this is an accurate representation of entertainment nowadays, especially since red is the color of socialism. So I do think this is a brilliant picture. YouTube is filled with game commentators, and it links to the article where it managed to get the quartering's advertisers to pull out, who use their own slang to describe their perceived enemies. Some of the language comes straight from the alt-right, a loose grouping of white supremacists and neo-Nazis. Here's a guide to what you might encounter. Well, this article isn't biased at all. In fact, I understand that neo-Nazis and white supremacists use English, and this is also written in English. So I'm very concerned. A lot of people from progressive outlets, like Baked Alaska, for example, used to work at BuzzFeed, and then he's at Charlottesville. So I genuinely think that these journalists are in danger. I'm worried about them. I'm worried about the person who wrote this article, because they know things about the alt-right that I didn't know. Like, I don't know their language. I don't know what they talk about, but this guy knows. So he spends a lot of time in these groups, and I think they need to be put on a watch list. That's my personal issues of concern regarding this. Meet the angry gaming YouTubers who turn outrage into views. Well, I hope he's not talking about me, because there's no anger here. It's just happiness and joy, and we're all having a laugh and a chuckle. But aren't you doing the same, though? Like, aren't you trying to turn outrage into views? Or no, hold on, my bad. You're turning fear-mongering into views. Fear-mongering into views. Like, clearly, if your first word is paid DLC, your audience doesn't know anything about gaming and anything like that, so you're just trying to fearmonger. It's like, oh, the internet is a scary place. If it can turn journalists like Baked Alaska, what can it do to your child? Woogie, woogie, woogie. Click my link, click, click. Downloadable content for video games became popular as a way of delivering new storylines and features to popular games. No, like paid DLC can be for a game that's not popular. It has literally nothing to do with popularity, but go on. Some gamers believe DLC is actually part of the original game. They paid $60 for it, but was split off to be sold later. What do you mean believe? Do you think it's like some sort of religion? Do you think it's like socialism? No, like gamers found out. For example, in the game released by Capcom, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, if memory serves, I might be wrong, but it was a fighting game. That's something that I'm sure of. The DLC was on disc. It was on the disc. Like, you actually purchased it and it was on the disc. And yeah, people don't like to be billed for their money. Like, I know when you're a champagne socialist, which, let's be honest, you probably are, you get mommy and daddy to give you cash, but for most people, they have to go to work, they have to do a hard-time job, and then when they come home, they don't have that much money to throw away. So they don't like to see corporations, multi-million-dollar corporations, milking them like they're some sort of cash cow. And yeah, people get upset. and then you get negative PR, and then the company requires a good journalist like you to do the PR for them and to shame the people that point it out. And then you're wondering why no one clicks your website. It's like, why does no one click on my multi-million-dollar corporation propaganda? Why is that? I need to contact the advertisers of those bad YouTubers. I need to contact them. Hey, do you know that you're advertising for this bad guy who hates corporations? Microtransactions. A business strategy of charging players for additional features and items in game. Some games like the Battle Royale games, Epic Fortnite and Apex Legends from Electronic Arts are free to download and make money by charging for new cosmetic look for player guns and other items. Look, if the person doesn't know what microtransactions are, and I assume like this is an article for someone who doesn't know what microtransactions are, do you really think they will know what Apex Legends is? I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. I don't even know like who this article is meant to target. Like, even my mom knows what microtransactions are, okay? Anyway, games as a service. A game designed to be played over the internet, which are regularly updated with new features and stories. Players often log on together and partner up or fight one another as they experience the game. Some current games are Bungie's Space Epic Destiny 2, Anthem, Bethesda, post-apocalyptic shooting game, Fallout 76. Well, this is clearly no sponsored content at all, like you even have links to click on these games. Very, very interesting. It will take me to a place where I can purchase them, isn't it? I see what you're doing here. Season Pass. A bundle for a video game in which the company offers multiple DLC, game modes, different items in game, and more. It's similar to a battle pass in which gamers receive rewards such as a new cosmetic looks and customized items in return for regularly playing the game. Now, take into account that these words, alright, everything we covered so far is also language used by white supremacists and neo-Nazis, right? So when a neo-Nazi comes from doing whatever he does, you know, clan meeting or whatever, I don't know, I don't spend time with them, unlike these journalists. They use words, it's like, oh, I am going to buy the new season pass for Fallout 76. Now we get to the more interesting ones, alright, social justice warrior. Someone who advocates on behalf of women and minorities. The term came into prominence during #Gamergate, a 2014 internet phenomenon during which gamers attacked. They got together and attacked. They charged. I remember the battle of what was it called? Female developers and feminists with threats of rape, bombing. Well, hold on a little bit. See, I remember the Society of Professional Journalists. Like, that was a thing, okay? And they had a discussion where prominent feminist-based mom, Christina Hofsummers, was there, a couple with the other ladies, and they were discussing Gamergate. But because they were breaking the narrative and they were talking about things that shouldn't have been, there were five bomb threats sent to them. So I guess it's also that feminists at one point decided to fight back and threatened the people that allied with the gamers with death threats and bombings. It was a brutal battle, a massacre. The massacre of 2014, the online massacre, online only, with death threats and bombings and threats of rape. It was horrible. Horrible dark path of history. Over their criticism of the video game industry. Ostensibly, the event was about gamers holding reviewers accountable for perceived ethical lapses. Alright, let's, yikes, how do we unpack this? The problem isn't when you're a social justice warrior and you're someone who advocates on behalf of women and minorities. Alright, like, this is called being a liberal, and it needs to be differentiated from the cancer, which is the social justice warrior. Because if you're a real liberal, these people are giving you the most negative PR as possible. The social justice warrior is a twat who does nothing but stay at the computer all day and try to get other people fired, try to get other people out of a job for things that he perceives as to be slights or wrongdoings or something like that doesn't really constitute anything illegal or immoral, but they just don't like it. So for example, when a comic book artist draws a comic book cover with Batgirl and Joker. The social justice warrior gets activated, he gets really enraged, and starts sending death threats to the artist who made that comic. Okay? When you have an actress like Penny from The Big Bang Theory, who says that she doesn't call herself a feminist and she likes to cook and clean for her husband, even though she makes $1 million per episode, the social justice warriors are the type of people who start sending her death threats to make sure that she falls in line. Alright? This is what we call a social justice warrior. It's a unsavory person. Alright? It's not someone who advocates on behalf of women and minorities. It's someone who tries to ruin other people because they disagree with them. For things that, again, aren't illegal. Alright? It's not illegal for Penny to want to cook and clean for her husband if she makes $1 million at work. It's not illegal. But these people can't handle it. Urinalist. A blending of the word journalist and urinal. Wow, I would have never thought about it. I am so glad it has been explained. Soy, a slur. Is it a slur now? Like, is soy a slur? I would say it's a pejorative stuff, but are you going really over? Is a slur. Okay. Insinuating men are effeminate based on urban legends that drinking soy milk increases estrogen production. It's often used against SJWs. White men. A way of emphasizing the H in white. Jared Taylor, the white nationalist who runs the American Renaissance, a news and commentary site, is known to pronounce the word this way. Yeah, but you need to offer more explanation as to why this is. When you read articles from the progressive press, like Polygon, Kotaku, I guess even CNET, if I were to start reading, you notice that they have an obsession with white men. It's pathological to the point. Like, if you take any other source material, all right, you read any other publication, you will notice that they don't really use the word white man as often as the progressive publications. It's almost, you can't read 2 lines without seeing something about white men, white people this, white people that. Just Google white men and you'll see like the first results, the first 100 results are from progressive publications. So when you start to notice that the progressives, the left-leaning, are using the word white people just as much as the far right, you kind of start making the comparison. You can't, like, it clicks. Okay, like, look, I'm from Romania. None of the papers here talk about white people. Like, no, they are. I haven't seen it. Maybe there are. Maybe there are. But there are so few that they have gotten under my radar. But you people are so obsessed about whiteness and about white people that you become the butt end of the joke. Like, people are comparing you to the white nationalist because that's what you're doing. You constantly view the world through the prism of race, and you think that just because someone is black, you already have like some conclusion that you draw from that. Okay, that person is a minority, that person is oppressed, like, only you and the far right and the racists are like, okay, this person's skin color is this, and therefore X, Y, and Z. Alright? Normal people, like in my country, they don't do that. So that's why you are being compared with people like Jared Taylor. And that's why people are mocking these publications. Woke. Being aware of injustice in society, especially racism. People who are woke are often slurred as woke warriors. Part of the woke brigade, keyboard warrior. When a person or company demonstrates their wokeness, they're often accused of virtue signaling. Yikes. A lot to unpack here as well. Alright, so yeah, a multi-million-dollar company who oppresses their workforce. Is this how you talk with leftists so that they understand? Underpays their staff, makes them work 14 hours a day, doesn't let them use the bathroom. They are being absolute pricks, and they're forcing their developers into unsavory working conditions. That company all of a sudden goes like, oh yeah, we're going to have some females into World War II, and they're on the front line, and look, this black lesbian, she's going to be next to this tank. We're very progressive. And then this company, instead of being under fire for the bad business practices that it's doing, is going to have the allies from the people that are on the left, and they're going to cheer for that company, and they're going to say, wow, so great. Like, yeah, but look what's happening. It used to be that the right-wingers would defend multi-billion-dollar corporations and the left would call it out when they would abuse people like that. Nowadays, the left is the ones that are defending multi-billion-dollar corporations who are trying to find different ways to milk the consumer for money, who are trying to find different ways to cut costs, who are doing, like, for example, Telltale, which was a very progressive company, managed to screw so many people by getting them out of a job overnight. And, they didn't know where to find the other employment. So instead of criticizing these corporations, the journalists that are considered to be progressive and woke, they're clapping, and many of these corporations also have like diversity hiring, and they have minorities in them that are suffering because of what the corporations are doing. But it's fine. Like, there's nothing talking about it. No one talks about it. Like, I think Kotaku actually talked about the Dragon Age game, which was very progressive and stuff like that. But you had developers that just couldn't cope with it. Like, they were under so much mental stress that they couldn't cope with it because of the working conditions that were there. So yeah, I mean, I suppose all you have to do nowadays, if you're a company that abuses the developers as much as possible, is to just have, oh yeah, we have this transgender person in our game, and then you're going to have everyone clapping and going like, So you don't really need to be woke, is what I'm saying. You don't really need to mean it. You don't really need to be for diversity. You just have to say that you are. You have to claim that you are. You gotta say the correct things and do the correct things, but you don't have to do the correct actions. That's the problem. Fake woke points. Positive support for virtue signaling. Exactly what I said. Get woke, go broke. Often said the celebration when a company, game, or publication that had heavy political undertones posts disappointing sales or shuts down. No, you don't understand. See, luckily you came to me so I can explain to you. Look, let's do this. Let's do this deal. What's the name of this journalist? Aaron. Let's do this. See, I don't understand the alt-right as much as you do, because you claim that you do right in the beginning. So when I have questions about the white supremacists and the neo-Nazis, I go to you and you tell me about them. But when it's about things like, get woke, go broke, you come to me. All right, let's have this business partnership. I would very much enjoy it. The problem isn't that companies go woke, okay? Everyone goes woke nowadays. Like, everyone is virtue signaling and stuff like that. The problem is when a company, for example, has black women as Nazis during World War II, and people start complaining, and they're like, dude, what are you doing? Okay, like, this is supposed to be a game that is a somewhat of a historical reenactment. Like, it's supposed to get some level of immersion there. I can't look at Hitler being a black female lesbian and get immersed into the World War II. I just can't, right? So that's the first step. That's the criticism. And then the company comes and says, you know what? If you don't like the game, don't buy it. And then they start lecturing the gamers. And that's the problem, right? Isn't the problem that the company went woke? The problem is when the company starts censoring the discussion on the forums and tells gamers you're not allowed to talk about this. When you have the developers giving sass to the consumers, when you have the company telling the people that if you don't like the game, don't buy it. And that is when they go broke, because people seem to listen. And it's like, oh, you don't want us to buy it? We're not going to buy it. Sail the high seas means pirating. I've never heard this being used. I mean, maybe it is, but again, like, I don't follow the type of content that this journalist does. Blue checkmark, a slur. Is it, who gets to define what a slur is? A slur against verified Twitter users who have a blue checkmark by their names. It's usually referred to journalists and prominent political figures. Well, it's actually a fight against privilege, because you see, normal people can't get blue checkmarks. You can't get a blue checkmark on Twitter anymore. All right? They say that the verification period is being suspended. And yet I managed to see people who managed to get a job at a publication and they get a checkmark. So apparently you need to know a guy that knows a guy who knows a guy. So you now have like this privileged class with blue check marks, I think everyone should get a blue check mark. I'm all of a sudden a socialist. I think blue check marks are for everybody. We need to seize the means of production at Twitter and then give a blue check mark for everyone. Of course, we're not going to do that. Once we seize the means of production, I give it to myself and the people that are my close seconds in command. Everyone else is a useful idiot, because if we're going to role play like socialists, we need to do it properly. Ratio, a measure of social media response to a tweet or YouTube video on Twitter. If the number of comments is higher than the number of likes or retweets, it's believed to have been voted down by the community. On YouTube, it's also referred to receiving more thumbs down votes than thumbs up. White knighting, man coming to a woman's defense. It's often used disparagingly. No, this is not what white knighting is. All right, if a man comes to the defense of a friend of his, that's a woman, that's perfectly fine. White knighting is when a man has absolutely no idea what the conversation is about. He just sees a man and a woman arguing, and he just sides with the woman because she's a woman. All right, like he knows nothing else about the context. He knows nothing about what's going on. He just sees a woman being, in a negative conversation with someone, so he immediately defends her. And this is against the teachings of Anita Sarkeesian, which says that the damsel in distress is problematic and it's enforcing gender stereotypes. And you need to allow the woman to be the hero of her own story, right? So this doesn't apply if the person legitimately knows the context and knows what it's about and is a friend to that woman. That's fine. It's just when it's like someone doesn't really know what's going on. It's like, okay, who's the woman? Show me the vagina. Oh, you have the vagina. Okay, I'll defend you. Feminazi, a term that was popular to describe a woman who claims to support gender equality but actually supports sexism towards men. The term was popular in the 1990s but has since fallen out of vogue. Okay. Well, no, because they're acting like Nazis. Like, when you think about the Nazis, you think about authoritarianism, you think about censorship, you think about restriction of human rights. And when you look to some feminists, the radicals what do they want? They want censorship, they want people to get fired, they collectivize women like the Nazis collectivized the Aryan race. You know, that's why you got the term. Funny article, I loved it. Write more. Do let me know what you think. Looking forward to hearing from you guys in the comment section. And sorry for not having a live stream yesterday. I'll try to have one today. I'll see you all then.